Holy shit, they are amazing. They fucking look awesome. The massive Avengers logo on them, and they're glossy. And they're also like 3D. Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'm going to be giving you my non-spoiler review on Avengers Age of Ultron. Now before I start, I need to apologise in advance because I'm pretty sure since I'm going to be talking about Age of Ultron, I'm going to get a bit overexcited because it was a fucking amazing movie. It was freaking amazing. Also, just a heads up, I am going to be doing a spoiler-filled review in a few weeks when I watch the movie again, and that's also when it hits the theatres in America. So therefore, you guys will be able to see a spoiler-filled review after you get to watch the movie, all you people in America who are watching this. One of the pros of this movie is its great original story. When I say original, I mean it's kind of the same as any other superhero movie, you know, good guy versus bad guy, but just the way Ultron executes his plan. I'm not going to tell you what it is, of course, but just the way he does it is something that I haven't actually ever seen before in any movie, and it was really, really interesting. What I also loved about this movie is it didn't feel like a trailer. Movies like Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Iron Man 2, they kind of felt like trailers. You know, Amazing Spider-Man 2 felt like a trailer for Sinister Six, which I'm not sure if it's even going to happen anymore. Iron Man 2 just kind of felt like a trailer for the Avengers, and you know, there's other Marvel Cinematic Universe movies that did feel like trailers. This one did not feel like a trailer at all. It felt like a standalone movie with, you know, a few 2-minute scenes, which would kind of act like those trailers in the way that they would lead on to future installments in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as well as the, of course, mid-credit scene. That was a really big kind of trailerish thing that leads on. Another huge thing that I really loved about this movie, and it's pretty much the first thing that actually comes to my mind whenever I think about the movie, is the amount of cameos and also surprise characters. There's this one particular scene with the, actually there's two scenes, but there's one that stands out the most for me, with all these cameos and surprise characters, and you know, it's probably my favorite scene in the whole movie. Pretty much, you know, whenever I think of the movie, I always think of that one scene and just how freaking epic it is, and yeah, pretty much just the amount of cameos and surprises is just amazing. All the surprise characters in that is just, it will get you really like hyped, I guess, for future installments, and also just it'll just be awesome to just see your favourite characters, I guess, from previous Marvel movies as well. It's just really awesome to see them in this movie. Now, I'm going to go into the cons. Things that I disliked about this movie. There are actually a lot more dislikes than pros. But with pros, I've kind of done an overall, there's only like 3 pros about this movie, but they're pretty big things. With the things I dislike about this movie, they're pretty small things. Kind of being a bit nitpicky, I guess, but these are just my opinions. This is just my opinion. First thing is, I wish it was a bit darker. I don't know if that's because I just finished watching Daredevil like last week, and that was really dark and gritty, but I just wish it was a tiny bit darker. I don't want to spoil anything, but I just didn't like how, you know, some characters, like some civilians I mean, they should have really died, but they didn't, you know. I wish there were a few scenes where you could actually see a few civilians die, see the effects of the Avengers, I guess, and see them in pain. Especially was a bit darker. Ultron, I mean, yeah, Ultron was freaking scary at times, which was really cool, because that's how he's supposed to be. But I do wish they kind of just made it a bit darker in some scenes, not necessarily the whole film. You know, I like how the Marvel Cinematic Universe is a pretty light-toned universe, unlike, you know, the DC universe, which can be very dark and gritty at times. And I really like how it is very light, like the comics and that. But I wish that, with the characters such as Ultron, I just wish it was a bit darker. Another thing relating to that is also the Hulkbuster and Hulk fight scene. Don't get me wrong, it was freaking amazing. The visuals in this scene were mind-blowing. It was just freaking amazing to see this. Only bad thing was, it was a bit too, I guess, kid-friendly. It wasn't really dark at all. It didn't, you didn't really feel any conflict between Tony Stark and the Hulk. And when I go into my spoiler-filled review, I'll tell you more about that. And what I didn't like about that scene also is because it didn't really relate to the overall story. It just felt as though it was thrown in there just for the sake of being there. You know, maybe for the sake of making toys or some shit, I don't know. Although it did look freaking amazing, and it was really exciting to see, it just felt as though it didn't really fit into the movie, and it was just there just for the sake of having the first Hulkbuster scene, which a lot of fans wanted. of course, but it just didn't really fit in. You know, it wasn't really, it wasn't useful as a plot device. It wasn't really useful at all, even though it did look freaking amazing. I know you're probably thinking, oh, that means that it's a shit scene. It's not a shit scene, it's an amazing scene. It just felt as though, it pretty much felt as though they put it in after they wrote the script. You know, it's as though they wrote the final script and they're like, you know what we need, you know what this movie needs? This needs a Hulkbuster scene. And it just gets thrown in there. But it's still an amazing scene, no doubt about it, you know. And it flows well, it just doesn't really seem as though it's an important plot device in it. And if it was taken out, it wouldn't matter. Another thing, back to Ultron, is he was a bit underdeveloped. Of course, you know, he goes from Mark 1 to Mark 2 to Mark 3 to however many marks without spoiling it, of course. The transition between Mark 1, you know, the one we see at the party, in the trailer, that party scene where they're all trying to lift the hammer and then Ultron just walks in, of course, that's Mark 1, to Mark 2, it feels as though there should have been something in between to develop a bit more, but after he does go to Mark 2, he develops pretty well, but besides that, I wish they kind of just developed that little phase between Mark 1 and Mark 2, just a bit better. Another thing that was a bit underdeveloped were the twins, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Of course, they're going to be in future installments of the film, but I wish that, you know, they were a bit more developed. We didn't really see much from them. Quicksilver only had like 10 lines in the whole film, as well as Scarlet Witch. She didn't really have that many lines in the film. Neither of them really had any major sequences, and I wish there was, but there wasn't, so I was a bit disappointed about that. But nonetheless, they were amazing to see on screen. Quicksilver was freaking amazing, Scarlet Witch was amazing, their CGI was really cool, their powers worked really well, especially with the rest of the team. And it was just freaking awesome. I really liked them, but they were a bit underdeveloped. Another thing that I realised was the CGI wasn't as smooth. For example, there's a scene where someone gets thrown into a building, and like as he's getting thrown, it kind of goes up and then it kind of stops like for one kind of millisecond of a frame and then keeps going, but you can notice it. And I felt the CGI wasn't really as smooth, like the frame rate per second, of course, if you know that. It didn't really feel that smooth in some parts, but other than those two small scenes, like, of course he's being very nitpicky, everything else was amazing with the CGI. Another thing that bothered me was that scenes were cut. Now, this is not particularly a bad thing. Well, it is for the theatrical release, but Joss Whedon has said, I'm pretty sure he has actually, that there are going to be all the deleted scenes on Blu-ray. My friend did tell me that the movie apparently was supposed to go for like 3.5 hours. I don't know if that was just bullshit or something, but I know that there probably are a lot of deleted scenes. Because what I felt was like, is, like, scenes would cut directly from one scene to another, and I know, I know it's hard to explain. So let me just put it in a different scenario, pretty much, alright? So for example, here's what I'll say. I won't give away any spoilers. So just say the Avengers finished one of their missions, okay? They take down the villain, you know, they just punch him up a few times, he's on the ground. And then, as soon as that happens, you know, as soon as he's on the ground and they just go, you know, oh, you're under arrest or some shit, I don't know, fucking some shit like that, you know, that's of course not what happens, but anyway, you know, you don't really see them take him in or anything, you just see it cut to them, you know, probably going back to Avengers Tower. Not even going back to the Helicarrier, just cut straight to them, sitting on the couch in Avengers Tower. Pretty much, that transition was, you know, I guess proof that there are deleted scenes, but it just didn't really feel that smooth, but I still really enjoyed the movie nonetheless. It still flowed well, it just felt as though some scenes were missing. And there's one particular scene, which I'll talk about in the spoiler-filled review, involving Thor, and it was like a 2-minute scene, but it felt as though there should have been a lot more in it, but it was only for 2 minutes. It felt like it should have been like a 10-minute scene, you know, but it wasn't, and I guess they shouldn't have added it in at all, really, then, if they were just going to cut it down so much, because it was a pretty good scene, except there wasn't really any explanation of what was going on. I was just thinking, I'm like, ooh, what's going on here, you know, like, they don't explain anything, they just expect you to know, I guess. And I did have kind of prior knowledge from the comics, but you know, if people haven't read the comics, they'll probably be confused as fuck. Like, I was a bit confused to what was happening, because, you know, but it was still good though. And yeah, so I know I have been very nitpicky with the negative things about this movie, but don't get me wrong, it was a fucking amazing movie. Oh, excuse my language. Holy crap, it is such a good fucking movie. It's just amazing. I walked out of that cinema so satisfied, and maybe it's because, I guess, it wasn't spoiled for me. I know with previous Marvel films, such as Iron Man 3, you know, the plot twist was spoiled for me, but with this one, nothing was spoiled for me, so it was really amazing. It was really an amazing experience for me, and it was just, yeah, it was really, really awesome. It really ups the, brings up the standards for future Marvel films, and because of this movie, I am so freaking excited to see Civil War. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't seen this already, just go fucking watch it, alright? And if you're a Marvel fan that lives in America, all I can really say is get fucking excited. You know, get pumped, because trust me, it is awesome. And don't go on the internet. I didn't go on the internet. I didn't go on Facebook a week prior to the movie because I was afraid of spoilers. I recommend you doing that because there are so many surprises and stuff in this movie. It's just amazing. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please leave a comment below, and also subscribe while you're down there. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys soon with my spoiler-filled review. So yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.
7 stories high. I remember last time I said it was like a